Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is April 18th, 2013, and this is the KNKL live stream, day 42. And today is Thoughtful Thursday. I am your host, Kienan Lafferty, and we gather here every week on Thursday to discuss things about life, things that have been going through this tiny little pea-sized brain of mine that have been making me more aware of the world around me and some concepts that I would like to pass down to you guys. Maybe it can inspire some thoughts of your own in terms of following your dreams, creating what you've always wanted for yourself, and all that good stuff. But before we get into that, we need to thank the lovely donators, not only you who watch at home. Not only has this program been brought by viewers like you, but for the people that go above and beyond to submit their hard-earned cash, such as these lovely people here. So a special thank you to those people going out. If you'd like to get your name on this list, simply visit the site of my comic, emmacomiconline.com, and contribute as little or as much as you'd like, and I'll feature your name here throughout the month! Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started with the things that I want to talk about today. So there's three big things that I want to talk about today. And I had so much fun last week talking about like Thoughtful Thursday, talking about dreams, talking about just everything that's brought me from, the humble artist that wants to work for the big company, in video games, and then deciding to take off from that and then start my own thing, right? And that was all really awesome. I really enjoyed that. And throughout this experience, there's been so much uncertainty and just like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I've just been kind of following my gut, following what's inside of me, right? Following what I believe that I need to be doing. And while doing such things, I have happened upon some talks on YouTube, great speakers, great books. I've been reading a lot of really good books. In fact, I should be reading more of those books. But I've been placing like my #1 priority on getting the next part of Emma out, which should be coming out within the next week. So you guys stay tuned for that. And I appreciate you guys being patient, as always, with all that stuff. But let us move on to the three things that I want to talk about today. And that three might quickly become four. And I want to start by asking you guys a question. Is an hour too long to go on these things? Because personally, I like looking back. I enjoyed looking back on last week's Thoughtful Thursday, and I liked listening to it. It was nice. But most of the stuff that I listened to on YouTube, like of people talking about aspirations and dreams and all that stuff, they're usually only about 20 to 30 minutes long. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Would you guys appreciate if it's not like an hour-long thing that you guys want to watch, and maybe I just do like a quick maybe 30-minute segment, talk about a few things? Or do you guys like the hour? Do you feel it's more intimate? I personally feel it's more intimate. I like it. So I'm going to keep going with that. Unless you guys say over here, unless there is movement of ja people, and then we'll change that. But anyway, let's move on to this. Today we're going to be talking about a law. A long arm of the law of the universe that is called the law of increasing returns. And it is very awesome. And there's a couple other words that people have come up with it throughout the existence of humanity. We're also going to be talking about a little bit of the force of the artist. You've heard me talking about this before. The power of journals, power of a little book like this, and why you should go out and get yourself one right now. And also I want to talk about something called the mastermind, brainstorming. I'm sure you heard of that. And those are, I guess, yeah, that's four things. But yeah, we're going to be talking about those. And I'm just going to go one after the other. I might go off on tangents, and we'll just go as far as we want. And we can always continue next week. We have plenty of weeks ahead of us. But let's go ahead and start with the law of increasing returns, because this is probably one of the biggest discoveries that I have happened upon probably in my entire life. I've always heard of it. I've always heard other people talking about things that relate to it, but this is where it's at. This is where it's at. Okay, so the law of increasing returns simply states that whatever you put in, you will get out. It's almost like, well, whatever you put in, you'll get out, but it's also the law of sowing and reaping. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this law, right? Whatever you sow, you reap. If you sow the seeds of creativity, if you sow the seeds of aspirations and dreams, you will get those dreams. You will, if you continue to nourish those plants, you know, if you want to think about it in literal terms or figurative terms. If you nourish those plants, if you nourish those dreams, you don't give up on them and let them get beaten down by the sun, right? Of all the people saying that you can't do it, all the hard things that come in and make it look like you're not going to be able to do it, so you give up. You continue to nourish those, your dreams will come back to you. And here's what's interesting. Not only that, not only is the law of sowing and reaping that you plant, you reap what you sow, but you reap more than what you sow. And this comes down to basically everything in life. And the law of increasing returns, and it just sounds so funny me talking about this because it's stuff that I literally just learned about a couple weeks ago. If you guys are interested in the people that came up with this, it's actually Napoleon Hill. He wrote the book called Think and Grow Rich. And that's a very, very popular book. I'm sure you guys have heard of that, or somebody is mouthing off talking about how great it is or how they're reading it, and then they're sitting around not really doing anything about it, right? That's the problem. But anyway, the law of increasing returns basically stems from Napoleon Hill's experience working with President Theodore Roosevelt. And he had the mentality of, he understood it, because he had the mentality of working and doing more than what he was getting paid for. And when you do that, you almost incite that law of the universe. It could be called karma too. A lot of people say, oh, you do good for someone else, that karma will come around to you, or what goes around comes around. All these things you hear when you're growing up, these are actual laws. These things actually exist. And when you do more than you get paid for, specifically in a job, or if you're creating a business, you know, no matter what you do, you almost want to think about it this way. You know, most people go in and most people work on the job and they do just enough. They do just enough to keep from getting fired. And then the company pays them just enough to keep them from quitting, right? But the law of increasing returns works to your advantage. When you do more than you get paid for at the job, not only will you call attention to yourself, but you will become a very, very attractive person in the eyes of your employer. Right? And then when you go in to ask for that more money, when you go in to ask for more money, you already know that you deserve it. And they'll already know that you deserve it. And they'll be happy to give it to you. Right? And yeah, you basically won't even have to ask for it. You know, you just go in and be like, you know, you could be like, I would like to be able to do this. It's almost like, how do I explain this? Because your value has increased so much, it's not a strained question. You know what I mean? A lot of people go in and they ask for raises and they give all the excuses, right? They're like, oh, well, the cost of living has increased. Oh, well, I got all this stuff to deal with. I got all these bills and I just need more money, right? They need more money, right? But much like the universe and the laws of nature and all that stuff, it does not respond to things needing, does not respond to things needing it or needing things. It responds to things deserving things, right? You don't get in life what you need, you get in life what you deserve, some people have said. And I'm starting to really, really believe that. And then I want to talk about the other interesting thing, because it's like, well, if I do more than I'm paid for, isn't that just going to mess up the system and then people are going to take advantage of me and all this stuff? And the answer is no, because regardless of whether the return comes back to you monetarily, or whether you just feel better about yourself, or whether people treat you better, people will respect you. All of these things are basically going to happen, right? All of these things are going to happen. So, you know, I can't even tell you how much, you can't put a price on feeling confident about yourself, on feeling confident about your work, and knowing that you're the kind of person that always goes the extra mile, whereas all your peers and all your coworkers are having trouble even going the first mile, right? They have to be forced, you know, just basically like led by the hand across the finish line to go the first mile. Whereas you are just blazing past them and doing basically twice as much work as they're doing. And you're loving it, right? Here's the other thing. Here's the other interesting thing that happened when I realized the awesomeness of this law, is that when you do more than you get paid for, when you have that mentality of, hey, look, this is what's expected of me, and then you have that freedom, you give your mind the freedom to think beyond that, you know? When you have this great idea of like, oh, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to do that. But then, whoa, what if we did this? What if we did that? And you get this crazy idea, where other people will be like, oh, well, no, I'm not going to do that. It's going to take more time. It's going to take all this stuff. you know, I'm just going to do what I'm getting paid for because that's the system and that is just the way it is, right? But what's really cool is when you allow yourself, when you almost like disassociate yourself from, hey, I'm getting paid to do this, you start to discover love for what you're doing. You start to discover love for the project. Say I'm a contractor, right? And I'm working on contract doing some work. Once I allow myself to do more than I get paid for, I find love in what I'm working on, and I do it for the passion, right? I don't do it for the money anymore. I do it because I love what I'm working on. And when you do that, when you're the kind of person that operates and you work from love, the value of your work is just absolute, it's just skyscrapers above other people, right? It just doesn't even compare because you just have this, you just have these ideas. You have love motivating your thing. You have creative passion. And when you're creative and you work from love, like I said, you open up your mind for the universe to pour its knowledge into your ears. And then you become somebody very, very valuable and awesome. And then you feel good about yourself while you're doing it because, wow, it's like, man, look what I'm doing. I'm doing this because I love it. And wow, I should be working like this all the time. Whether I'm making a cup of coffee for somebody at Starbucks, or I'm helping old ladies cross the street as a Boy Scout, or whether I'm making a comic, or whether I'm doing artwork for this person, or I'm doing sidewalk art, you know, sidewalk chalk art, you know. Get involved in it if you're getting paid for sidewalk chalk art. You never know. You can do an awesome mural. But disassociate yourself from the money, right? Don't let the money motivate you anymore. Let the money come as a, you know, it's almost like I said before. It's like the reason why I do the comic is for me. It's because it's my dream and I want to create it. And I create it out of love and passion, and then I give it to you guys, right? And if you want to read it, if you enjoy it, and you get value out of it, that's all icing on the cake, right? But if I do just what everybody else says, if I just listen to what everybody says on, you know, wherever, you know, in the comment sections, and or I structure my show to exactly what everybody says in the comment sections, then it's just gonna be, you know, it's a terrible scenario. It's like I'm not even working from within. I'm not doing this from passion and love for what I should be doing. And then inevitably, it's going to show in my performance, it's going to show in my work, and you're just going to become another one of those people. You're just going to become another guy that can be let go whenever there's the downsizing. You're just another guy that just can be let go. But if you're the person that does more than you're paid for, you will not be able to be let go. You won't be able to. And if for some crazy reason you do, it's not going to be hard for you to find another place of employment or another way to make money because you have that cheerful, positive attitude. And you'll often find that people are, I think the most valuable thing about people like that, and they're rare, to be honest, they're rare when you run into people that just do more than they get paid for, and they work out of love. But when you run into those people, it really shows, and they inspire you. They inspire you, and that, I think, is probably one of the biggest values to doing that thing, to adopting that kind of mentality, is that the passion and the love that those people work with is infectious, and it just goes, anybody who associates with them, that group just becomes better because they are in it. And how cool is it to, you know, become one of those people, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's what I want for you guys. Alrighty. So far, well, Helgen, I already know Helgen is a big fan. Last month, Helgen, you were like, oh, man, I can't wait. Not even last month, last week. What am I saying? Last week, he said he couldn't wait till next week. So I do appreciate the support. All right, peoples. So yeah, that wraps up the law of increasing returns. We can talk about it a little bit more, but I just kind of want you guys to kind of experiment with that. Say, even with chores around your house, you know, sometimes your mom or your dad wants you to do something, or you go to family, get together, just anything that's asked of you. I really want you to practice doing just a little bit more. Letting go of the fact of, oh, I got to do this, or I'm doing this for this, and doing just enough to get my nut, and then I'm out, right? Just go that little extra mile and kind of disassociate yourself, and you'll find that you're gonna encounter love and passion for whatever you're working on. Even something as simple as doing chores, washing dishes. It's pretty freaking awesome. All right, guys, moving on. Check that off the list. You know, I got a thought that I should probably share this with you guys, because Another interesting thing, and I didn't say I was going to talk about this, but I'm actually just going to bring it up right now, and that is the problem of worrying. Worrying too much, worrying about stuff that might be out of your control, just worrying in general. And I want to talk about how toxic this can be to your daily life and your behavior, your interactions, just anything, right? It will kill your life. It will kill your spirit if you worry too much. And a good example of this is lately I've been noticing that I've been falling into it. I've always had a bad habit of staying up late, waking up late, and then, just kind of repeating the process, right? I go to bed at like maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I wake up at like noon or 1 in the afternoon, right? And it just seems like my body is naturally just has a tendency to do this, right? So naturally I start thinking, I was like, well, is something wrong with me? Am I like something like wrong with my brain? Am I like dying or something? Or am I just like destined to become like a nocturnal rat person who lives only at night and then sleeps in the sewers all day? You know? And there's just been some things that have been worrying me about that. But I think rather than worrying about it, and this can be said about almost anything, right? Instead of worrying about these things that you would consider problems, sometimes it's best to kind of just look at it from a practical standpoint and be like, well, hey, is it really a big deal that I'm staying up till 4 in the morning and waking up at noon or 1? Well, I'm still technically getting 8 hours. It's just my schedule is a little bit different than other people's. Am I still getting enough work done? Here's the other thing. I've woken up at 1 and still gotten more work done in the day, because I work late or whatever. And I'm not even working late. I'm actually working from 1 till maybe like 6 or 7, right before the show. And I've actually gotten more done within that little narrow area of time than days where I wake up at 8 and then I work until 7. You know what I mean? And I think it's due to the fact that A, I'm not worrying about it. I'm just getting up and being like, okay, this is when my body naturally gets up. I'm not hurting anybody by this. I don't have any, engagements that need to be happening prior to noon. I enjoy working late when everybody else is asleep because it's nice and quiet. I feel like when everybody else is asleep, my mind is just able to, I don't know, just almost like zone in better. The artist force is zoning in and relaxing. I feel like it's much, much easier to relax in the late hours of the night. So instead of focusing on all the reasons why it's a bad thing, instead I start focusing on all the reasons why it could be a good thing. And once you start doing that, once you stop worrying about stuff, you allow your body again to relax and just go for it, just do it, and you continue with it. Whereas if I was worrying about stuff, if I was worrying about this thing affecting my health, or that I'm abnormal, or that I'm weird, obviously, if I had some sort of engagement, like if I had a normal job, that I had to go to at like 9 or 10, then obviously this would be a problem. But because I have my own hours, right? I work for myself. I think the biggest thing to understand is that, okay, well, I just have a different schedule. And if for some reason I do want to start getting up earlier, for whatever reason, which I kind of do, there is a part of me that enjoys waking up early, but I also like staying up late. But I can't have the best of both worlds, I can't have both of those. But yeah, I just think that worrying about stuff in general just is not good. So another really good, and I'll finish with this. Another really, really good example. I'm actually going to turn this now that the sun's setting, because it's beautiful out here. You guys need to see this. My hair is going absolutely crazy. It's getting long. Jeez, my hair is getting so long. But I want to grow it out so I can be like one of those anime characters. I think there's this guy from a comic series called Princess I. I think his name's Ken, and he's got this really, really long hair, and it looks pretty freaking sweet. But things usually look cooler in the comic books than they do in real life. So we'll see what happens when my hair grows out like his. But yeah, as I was saying, worrying, okay, so I was worrying also about taxes, right? Because I worked all last year for Riot, and I made a good amount of money, right? I made a good amount of money doing what I loved. So I was like, okay, well, this is obviously, I'm probably going to owe some taxes, because I usually claim like a higher number than most people, because I kind of like work the system a little bit. So naturally, I was going to have to owe some taxes. And I was just worried. I was so worried. I was like, oh man, what if I owe like $3,000? I don't have that. I don't have that. And I just worry and worry and worry about stuff. And I play through all these scenarios like, what if the IRS comes and takes me away, or they shark me for life and I can never pay back my debt? And then all this stuff happens, and then I go to jail, and then I can't make the comic and all this stuff. And like, this is what your mind does, right? This is what your mind does. It will come up with all the craziest, like even just like outlandish, stupid, crazy consequences that will happen, you know, when you're worrying about things. And the best way that I've learned to dispel these is to write them down. Write down your worries, and you can answer them in just a few simple questions. A few simple questions. And let me go ahead and tell you those. So this is basically what I do. I open up my journal, right? And then I'll write down, one, what am I worrying about? I'll write down, okay, I'm afraid of taxes. I might owe more than I have that I'm able to pay right now. Okay? Then I write down, oh, okay, and this is the fun part. You write down, what's the worst that could happen? What really is the worst that could happen? And then you just kind of create the story. You lock in that one story, that realistic story of what would happen. And you just feel free to almost be crazy about it too. And be like, oh man, well, I get sharked for life. I have these loans pay off, and then I go to jail, and then I throw away my entire life, and all was for nothing. And then I die inside a little cell next to the toilet. And yeah, just crumble into a pile of dust and become part of the concrete. And yeah, that's basically my life. That's the end of Kienan Lafferty. And once you just kind of lay down a story like that, you start realizing, okay, well, that's obviously not going to happen. What's the worst that really could happen? Okay, I go to get my taxes done, and I do owe quite a bit of money, right? That's really the worst that could happen, and that's probably what could happen, right? So then you have to, once you write that down, you kind of come to terms with it. It's no longer up here. You're no longer thinking of all the crazy thing that's going to happen, all the terrible things that are going to happen to you. It's now down on paper, and you can look at it, right? And you can immediately dispel any crazy things that, you know, were up here before. So then you move on to what can you do about it, right? And this is the magic right here, because then I realize, okay, well, let's say I do owe $1,500, right? What can I do about it? I don't have that right now, but I'm doing work right now, and I'll be able to easily get that money within a couple months. You know, what are some financial solutions that I could use to get that money right now? There's plenty of things like the personal line of credit. People are always talking to me about that every time I'm going to the bank. They're like, oh, hey, you have really good credit. You could qualify for one of these things. The interest rate is really low, and you can get this much money. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I could do that, right? I could get that really quickly, pay that off, and you only get interest on what you take out. I'd only have it out for like probably a couple months, so I only pay a little bit. And then you kind of formulate a plan. Then you go out and you do it, right? But I think the important thing is that once you have the plan down, your worry immediately goes away. Even if your plan could take years. You know, in some cases, I do have plans to take care of things that I normally would be worrying about that will take years to do. But I have the plan, right? And so it's no longer up here. It's amazing to wake up every day and realize that my daily like worries, or my daily things to do, or things that are on my mind usually consist of about 2 things. This is the part where it feels like I'm literally cheating life, right? It's like I literally have almost nothing to worry about anymore, because, and this is where I'm talking about the power of the journal, because all of my plans, all of my goals and my plans are in here, right? And I don't have to hold them up here anymore. Okay, so once you formulate the plan of what you're going to do to take care of your worry, right, then you write down when you're going to do it. How long is it going to take you to do it? When do you expect to pay back these bills? When do you expect to pay back the loan? How, like, well, we already talked about how you're going to do it. Yeah, how long is it going to take you to pay back those things? How long is it going to take you to do this certain thing for this person? And yeah, it feels really good. And it's funny because I do this quite a lot. I mean, I'll be looking through like these old sketchbooks, right? Like these things that like have sketches in them. And I'll just be flipping through, and these are just like almost like my whatever books. And I'll come across these lists of me writing, what am I worrying about? What's the worst that could happen? What can I do about it? And when am I going to do it? And then that's it. And then it's like it's forever filed away in this thing forever filed away in this thing, and then I can just review it. And it's funny because once you do that, you still, it's not like you just forget about it. It's still in your subconscious, but you have like this calm feeling of knowing that you've got it handled. You've got the plan, and if you ever forget about it, it's just right here. You no longer have to like kind of hold it up here with everything else that you're worrying about throughout the day. All right. Cool. So yeah, don't worry anymore. Don't worry. If you guys want to check out where I got that philosophy from, check out Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. I'm going to say it again. Stop Worrying, Start Living by Dale Carnegie. It's a book on tape, and it's on YouTube. It's actually free. How cool is that we live in a day and age nowadays where you don't even need to get up from your chair to go look at a book. You don't even have to read the book. You can just type it in on YouTube, and then some other guy will read it to you as you're working. You know, or you can, I don't know, like rip it off of YouTube somehow. I'm sure there's like something that'll do that and put it on your iPod. You know, like how cool is it that we live in a day and an age where you can access information to almost anything that you want instantly. You know, but that's the other interesting thing is that, and I'm going to say this really quick before we move on to the next thing, talking about, we can talk about the force of the artist or the journal. I think I might move on to the journal because I'm still talking about that, but a quick thing that I want to dispel is the saying that knowledge is power, right? Or information is power, right? And I want you guys to extinguish that out of your mind right now because obviously it's not. We're surrounded by information. We get information jammed down our throats every time we're checking our email on Yahoo, right? About all this, you know, they just throw up the stupidest like news things on there. They got the little picture, they got the little videos of the puppies, you know, playing, you know, like, oh, isn't that cute? Oh, hey, look, they sued CVS for this thing, and then they word it so it's like they don't tell you exactly what it is, but it's like, what happened? And then you're like forced to like click on that link because you're curious, right? And we're just bombarded with all this information of stuff that's happening around the world, and just all these things, and people read this stuff up, they freaking choke it down, right? And then somehow after all that they feel smarter because of it, right? They feel smarter because they gained the information of, oh, hey, this person at this pizza shop was being racist to somebody by writing something silly on their ticket, you know? And it's like, what is that really even doing for you? So, and that's one example. But even just like, if you're guys that, this is what I talk about, okay, journals, right? If for some reason, I'm not saying that you need to write down what I'm saying, but if you're ever at a seminar or you hear somebody saying something or you hear a great quote from like even in a movie or from a book or a song lyric that really inspires you, I really want to challenge you guys to write those down somewhere. Write those things down. Write those things down that inspire you, that make you think, that you want to remember, right? I've got a special spot like devoted to things like that in my journal right here. And I call it wisdom, right? And it can be anything. So, and the reason why I challenge you to do that is because there's something very magical about keeping those things, right? Keeping those little bits of information. But then, after you have that information, right? Knowledge and information is not power. I'll tell you what power is. Power is action upon those things that you've learned. Action upon the information that you've learned, right? Taking what you've learned and then doing something about it. That's where the power comes from. Knowledge is potential power. You could say that. But it's not power. It doesn't make you a better person just by knowing it. You can know everything in the world, but if you don't do anything about it, it doesn't make you any more important. It doesn't make you any more important than a guy that knows a little bit and is doing something about it, right? So, yeah, really take that to heart because I think that's a big thing. That's another reason why, I mean, when I hear stuff, I write it down and I try it, right? It's like, whoa, hey, what's this philosophy of working less than you rest? Right? Working for 26 minutes and resting for 34. What kind of crazy philosophy is that? That's some information. Let me try that out. And then I'd go ahead and try that, work for 26 minutes, set my little alarm on my clock here, and then that time I'd go up, be like, okay, it's time to rest. Sit there, be like, okay, 34 minutes, just relaxing, resting, stretching my wrist. And then I find it is hard to do. It is actually hard to rest more than you work. And I think that they understood this when they told you that, because what happens is when you rest, your mind is thinking. Your mind is still engaged, and it's almost like, imagine like you're building a city, right? You're building a sim city, and you're constructing the building for 26 minutes, right? And then for 34 minutes, you zoom out, right? You zoom out to the, like, over the entire city, and you look at the entire thing. You'll be like, oh, hey, look at this. Look at this. Oh, the way I've situated this building, it's going to work really well if I put some other buildings here. And it's going to work really well if we put a little convenience store down here with all these people, you know, in this high traffic area, you know? And then when the monster comes and tries to destroy it, we should build a big wall over here, right? And that's what you're doing almost when you're in the rest state. You're taking a step back and you're resting, you're meditating, you're thinking, you're relaxing, you're allowing the universe once again to inspire you. The gods of Idea Land send their lightning bolts down into your ears, and then you get your inspiration. And then once you're fully charged and ready to go on that, fully charged, right? Like the guy from TF2, you zoom back into first person, right? And you're just like bam, 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 bringing up the walls, putting down the buildings, bringing up all this stuff, and then you have an amazing city, right? Eventually, right? And you keep going out and then in, and going out and then in. And I think that's really what the awesome thing about the 26-34 rule is. And I'm still trying to get good at it. It's actually very, very tough. But every time I try to go against it, every time I was like, no, I don't have time to do that. I just got to keep working. Every time I do that, I end up regretting it because my hand starts hurting, or I start to get like fizzled out, start to get burnt out, and I just end up hating it, right? Now, I'm curious as to how this works when you're at a job where they require like you to be on full time. Like I wonder if I could do the 26-34 rule when I was selling jeans, right, at Buckle, because there you're like, you're supposed to be talking to everybody, talk to everybody that comes in, show them this, show them that shirt, show them that ugly freaking rhinestone speckled thing over there, you know, that hat, that dumb looking hat that I can't believe anybody would ever want to wear. So I'm curious as to how you would apply it to that, but I think there is a way. I really think there is a way. I think it might be less of like, no, like working on the job and be like, no, I'm resting. I'm resting. I'm not making your Java. I'm not selling the jeans right now. I'm resting. I think it's less of that. I think it's more of your mindset, right? I think it's more of the mindset. 26 minutes out of the hour, you are going. You are really, really pushing it. And for 34 minutes, you almost take a step back and you almost become more observant of what's happening, right? 26 minutes, you go at it. 34 minutes, you relax, be observant. All right, guys. So yeah, I hope that's helping you out. 26 minutes, you are operating the roller coaster at Six Flags. 34 minutes, you are observing, taking in life. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. It's taking time to get out of yourself. 34 minutes to get out of yourself and just like look around. Like look around at everything. Look at where you are right now. You realize that everything that's happened within your life has placed you exactly where you are right now. With the circle of friends you have, or lack thereof, the experiences that you had have all put you where you live, what you're doing, what your goals and dreams are, where you're going, and then you have the power to basically push yourself towards that, right? You can set your sail and you can head towards that new piece of land. Like how cool is that? Taking 34 minutes out of the hour every day to just like look around and be like, whoa, wow. Like you just like taking the beauty, you know? Instead of working at Panda Express and all you're worried about is like, oh, I can't wait until this is done, chopping up the orange chicken, serving the walnut shrimp, chucking the soy sauce at people, and yeah, the chow mein and all that. I love Panda Express. But yeah, just taking time to just enjoy life. I think more people need to take time to enjoy life. And I think there needs to be a good balance between working hard, doing more than what you're getting paid for, and then taking 34 minutes out of every hour to relax and really be contemplative, reading books, any state that allows you to just enjoy life. Because, I don't know, I just think there's magic to that. But again, that's something that I'm still practicing, something I'm still trying to get good at. If you guys have any cool experiences with that, feel free to post it anywhere. You can post it on the KNKL Emma page or the KNKL Facebook. Or you can send me an email. You can write me a little love note and throw it and then let the wind carry it to my house in Utah. And yes. Alright, so how are we doing on time? 7:38. Awesome. We're doing quite good. Taft Thompson is asking, do I sketch in this book? Yes, I actually do. I do actually sketch in it from time to time, every now and then. I sketch more in like these other books over here, like this thing. Let me see if I can actually show you some. Usually it like blows out the image, but I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh yeah, you can. Look at that. Oh, there you go. Wait. There you go. Yes, I'm usually just drawing like anime, stuff like that. Alright, so, okay guys, now I'm going to talk to you about the power of the journal. It's time to discuss the power of this book. This book that has been handed down, been created by me, handed down to me by the gods of Barnes & Noble, and trusted to me, saying, Keenan, you must write down your life experiences and anything that inspires you in this book, and then you must review it at least once a week. And you haven't been doing that lately, so you need to get back on that. And then you need to learn from this, leave a legacy for people to look into this after you have died and become a pile of dust in the ground. And they might be able to get something cool out of it. Who knows? But I want to talk to you guys about how awesome journals are. Okay? Why you should go out and get one. Okay, so this thing has already become indispensable to me. When I first got it, I loved it, right? I was like, oh hey, whoa, I can write down stuff that's happening. I was writing in it like every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes. I was writing, here's what time it is, here's what I just did, right? You'd be like, I just went down, ate some oatmeal, and I put blueberries in it. Who would have thought that would have been awesome? I mixed in peanut butter with my oatmeal, and it was freaking sweet, right? And I'm just writing down all these silly things, just everything, just getting into the habit of doing it, right? And now I'm not writing every 20 minutes. Now I'm writing, you know, maybe once every couple of days. But the cool thing about it is that I started realizing very quickly that writing down your thoughts, writing down the things that are usually stuck up here, that will stay there as long as they have the means to do so, can quickly be expelled into this book and then clears up that space in your mind, right? For more thoughts and inspiration and godly inspiration to fall into, right? So this is awesome. And like I just thought about this a couple days ago. Like if someone were to break into my car and steal this book from me, if I were to lose this book, I would be so pissed off. I would be more pissed if someone stole this from me than if someone stole my wallet, to be honest. Because this has just like my ideas, my goals, the things that inspire me, just everything is in this book. It's just, it has already become invaluable. And I do not want to lose this. And I'm going to create another one. I've almost filled this one up, right? I'm almost going to have like a library of just like, and that's 1 year. That's the second year. And basically it's going to be like the library and Beauty and the Beast, where it's just like journals, like thousands of journals just like stacked up. And you open one up and then you're just like, peanut butter oatmeal. Brilliant. And then somebody will go off and make millions of dollars by opening up a chain restaurant that does peanut butter oatmeal. And yes, the world would be a better place because of it. But yeah, I just want to tell you guys about like how cool this is. And once you get one of these and once you start writing in it, it becomes indispensable. And here's the other thing. When you start writing down your goals in it, you start practicing the habit of anything that goes in this book must be done. You understand how cool that is? It's like I've written down so many goals and checklists and like daily things to do, weekly things to do, monthly things to do, things that I want to happen in 6 months, things that I want to happen in a year, you know, like long range and short range goals. And basically what's been happening is all my short range goals, like I go through here and I just look through all of the little lists that I've created. And it's just like, check, got this stuff done. I went to these places, check. Did this work for this person, check. You know, paid my car loan, sent off my taxes, just looking at laying out part 2 of Emma. You know, all of these goals are just getting checked off. So now what's happening is that I have developed the habit that, and I'm almost afraid of this. This is almost kind of scary. That anything that goes in this book must be done, right? If I set that little goal in there and I put a little checkbox next to it, as I stumble over my words, Do not stumble over words anymore. Check. Basically, if that happens, it has to be done because I cannot leave that there. There's no scratching it out. You can't go back in and scratch it out. That doesn't work. Once it's in the book, it must be done. So I almost kind of, it's like a big thing of power. You know, I'm almost scared to write it. Like, purchase a Ferrari, purchase a nice Lamborghini, right? And then get some cool Emma vinyls across it and axe blade hubcaps or axe blade rims. Right? That spin. If I were to write that in here, that would be actually very, very scary. But I would have to do it. So, yeah, and what's really cool about this, guys, is that it just gets you in this mindset of, I complete my goals. I do what I say I'm going to do, right? Because so many times, and I go back to this story a lot when I was working at Riot, oftentimes I would get into the habit of, nah, whatever gets done today, gets done today. I just go in aimlessly. I would have no goal. I'd just be like, nah, whatever. Just do what I do. Yeah. And then and then I'd wonder why at the end of the month or at the end of the weeks, I'd just not be terribly satisfied because it's like I was not setting any goals. I wasn't achieving anything. I wasn't building up my self-esteem. I wasn't building up my personality. I wasn't feeling confident in myself. I was slowly losing confidence. Slowly not enjoying work as much as I should. Slowly losing that love and passion, right? So the power of the journal, this is just one of the really, really cool things about a journal, is that it builds your confidence, it builds your self-esteem, and it makes you believe that you are the kind of person that gets the stuff done that you say you're going to do, right? You learn integrity, which is actually one of the most sought-after things that a human can possess. You get that? Integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, okay? So that is a very, very important point to set out. And that is a check there. Even I have a list here, right? Checking off them lists. Alright, guys. So it looks like we got about maybe 10 more minutes. Actually, I'm going to go for 5 more minutes. And during that time, I'm going to ask that you load up your catapults, aim them over the castle walls, and cast them, because I'm going to answer them, send them back to you on a bed of sesame seed buns, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. Big Mac. That's a new one. I can feel that one catching on. Alrighty. Okay. Let's see here. Kilner was asking a great question already. He's asking, can you explain how you organize your journal? Yes, that is a great question. All right, so I'll tell you right now. So first, when you get the book, right, it's much like this, right? You got this much paper to work with, depending on what kind of journal you get. Now, a really cool thing that I did was I went out and I got some little Post-it notes, right? Like this one has a little sun on it, right? And this is life, okay? And then you're going to go ahead on over to goals, right? And I don't want to show these things because some information here might be kind of embarrassing. But there you go. There's my goals. It's a little goalie post, you know, from football. There you go. And I basically just separated out my journal into 4 parts. Okay. Business has your little dollar sign there. These are my ideas for the comic. The ideas for cool things that I could do for you guys. Cool like contests. The posters is written down in here. Just different ways to bring value in what you're doing for your business. And then wisdom. Right? Wisdom has like a little like a spirit thing. That's supposed to be a spirit. And then you write down all those cool things that come to you and be like, oh, I gotta remember that for later. All those cool little quotes that make you realize that make you look at life a little bit differently. Like one of my, I'll read you a couple quotes out of here actually while I'm waiting for questions. People are often trying to obtain something they already have. And this is a really, really cool quote because really this goes down to, I think they say that humans have like 6 basic needs, right? And oftentimes we're pursuing something in the distance. This goes back to that mentality of like, ooh, once I get this, then I'll be happy, right? But really, this could be love. This could be significance. This could be This could be growth. This could be, I don't know, there's a bunch of other, there's a few other human needs, but that base need that's meeting, you actually already have that somewhere. You actually already have it, and you've pushed it away somewhere. You know what I mean? You're not allowing yourself to be happy with what you may have already, right? There's always reason to be grateful for being alive, or gratitude. There's always reason to have gratitude for being alive, existing even, just having a belief, following your dream, expressing yourself, all that stuff, being surrounded with friends and family. There's always those things, right? So people are always trying to pursue something or obtain something they already have. That's always something interesting for me to think about. Basically, it just says there's no reason to ever be unhappy. There's no reason to ever feel like you're missing something, right? You should always be pursuing something greater. You know, you should always have that dream that you're moving towards. There's no reason to feel like, you know, you can't be happy till you get that. All right, so I'm moving on. Yeah. Hogan Warfare is asking, did you actually write down a plan for the Emma-mobile? No, I should though. I should, but I'm scared. I'm honestly really, really scared because I'm starting to realize the power of the show. The power. It's like a magical tome that like summons things into the world, right? And yeah, it's just like, man, if I write down that goal, like, whoa, what's gonna happen? You know, is that really gonna happen? I'm actually really scared, but I think I should. I really should write down a plan for the Emma-mobile because I still do want the FRS, and it's still kind of like it's an idea, like it's a thought, but I haven't really like written it down. It's not like a must. It's not like I must have that. I'd really like to though. Okay. Kilner saying, oh, that's genius. I wrote down the separations, but then they fill up at different rates. Yes, that is another interesting thing. And I actually separated the notes. I separated the different parts here, right? You can see that some parts have like bigger chunks, you know. I figured, oh, hey, I'm probably going to be writing a lot more about life than I'm probably going to be writing about wisdom. Wisdom usually comes every once in a great while. So I'll make that kind of a little bit smaller. But even if you fill it up, who cares? Just get another one. Get another one, divide it, same way, and you just continue into that one. Kilner is asking, where did I get the post-it notes with the cool symbols? Actually, they're just colored post-it notes, little tiny colored post-it notes, and then I actually just drew on them with a pen. I just drew my own symbols on there. All right. All right. Aaron Pinel is asking, as a young artist, such as myself, what do you believe are the key points to learn and strive for in art? All right. Well, this is very, very good. This is a very, very good question. And I'm just trying to think back to my days when I was 15, 14. What was I concerned about? I guess first you have to understand why you want to do art, right? You got to be like, well, do I want to be that artist with a message? Do I want to create art that makes people think differently? Do I want to create art that inspires people? Do I want to create art that entertains people like me? I wanted to work in video games. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to give people experiences. Do I want to design things? Do I want to help others? Do I want to be charitable? You know, and these are all things that are good. You know, you should always want to be charitable and really think about giving back. I think that's another big thing. Going back to the law of increasing returns, right? Increasing returns, you can't see it, but it's there. The law of increasing returns states that as you give back, it must come back to you, right? Sow the seeds of goodness, sow the seeds of positivity, you will get positivity back in your life. You'll get support when you need it. Support others, they'll support you. Have confidence in others, they'll have confidence in you, right? So it's just that. It's the law. It's really, really awesome. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And I like the way it makes me feel. So, yeah, I would just say figure out why you want to do art and focus on doing really just what you want. I think that's what it is. Like, I had, you know, I was really, really interested in anime for a long time, right? And then a common thing that I would get was like, oh, people don't, people in America don't like anime. If you want to work in video games, they're not going to hire an anime artist. You're going to have to move to Japan or, something like that and go work out there if you want to do anime. And what I didn't realize that, I listened to that and I was like, ooh, is this the right thing to do? Well, I really like this. I really enjoy the style. I think there's something here. There's something here. And I don't know what it is, but I like it. And rather than giving in to what everybody else was saying, being like, oh, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that. Instead of doing that, I continued to trust myself and be like, hey, I want to do this. You could want to draw portraits of giraffes, right? You could be really, really passionate about drawing giraffes, like I am, right? And who knows? You might open up a whole nother market, right? The demand for giraffe paintings, right? Beautiful giraffes. And yeah, I just think that everybody has something unique. And this is something that I go back to all the time, is that all of you out there, all of you artists, have something unique to bring to the world. So don't feel like you have to conform to this little thing that everybody else wants you to be. Or don't look at what everybody else is doing and be like, oh, well, I better do more of what that guy's doing because I want to be successful, right? Or that guy's successful, so I should just copy him, right? You can do that. You can learn from other artists, and I really think you should. That's what I did. But I never lost sight of that unique thing that I had, that unique thing that I felt like I was going to bring to the world. And now that's manifesting through Emma, because I always saw a mix between sort of like Eastern and Western art styles, kind of like an anime mixed with kind of like the old school cartoons in the 1920s. And that's kind of a little bit of kind of what's going on with Emma, and things like Scott Pilgrim and other cool comics have done things like that too. They created their own styles, right? That have been sort of influenced by anime and manga, things like that. And they've become huge. They've become super, super popular and super successful. So, and that's probably because they also did the same thing too. They followed what they wanted to do. They created and they told their story, even with all the other people saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that, don't want to do that. Because what are those people doing? Nothing. Nothing. Those people aren't doing nothing. All right, peoples, I'm going to answer. I'm about to say ask. I'm going to ask a couple more questions and then we're done. Answer a couple. Alrighty. Kill Nerve says, so you'll end up carrying around 2 journals as one fills up its parts? Yeah, I would just say, yeah, if you fill up one part, then just say you have like business, right? You fill up your business part too fast and you have to go out and get another one. Then you know, hey, I'm going to make this business, like this business area, a little bit bigger. That way I can kind of, keep this one. Ideally, you want to fill up all the parts kind of at the same time and then just close it, move on to the next one, right? But that probably won't happen the first time. But regardless, I mean, you can have 20 pages of unwritten things. Who cares? That's the other thing, is it's your journal, right? The other really cool thing that I learned about this is like I can open this up and there's lines of where you're supposed to write, but I can turn it to the side and just like start writing randomly like this. I can write diagonally. I can write upside down. I can do whatever I want because it's my journal. I'm the only one that's ever going to see it, at least until I'm dead. So don't be bound by the limitations of writing. You can misspell things. You can purposely write almost so illegibly that nobody can read it but you. You can write in code like Leonardo da Vinci did. You can write backwards. Leo had it. Leo had the idea. Okay. Aaron is asking another question. And I'll take this final question and then we'll end. He's talking about concepting. Concepting. And while I don't want to go too in-depth with this because this is almost like a completely different subject, I will give a general answer and then we'll talk about more of this later. But he's talking about concepting. And really, I think what concepting is creating the balance between shapes, right? Concepting or designing something, even a full character, is always going to be the balance between all of the shapes. Like for Emma. Let's go ahead and open her up. You want to think about why you're designing said piece, right? Like with Emma, you look at her. and she's got, you know, one large shape here, right? Large dress, and she's got the little hair, and she's got skin, right? And I think the reason why she works pretty well as a design is because she's very, very simple, right? And I have to draw this character over and over again hundreds of times. So it's really nice to have simple shapes that I can remember how to draw over and over again. And then you have a nice like blend of different things happening here, right? You have a large blank space. This is what we call an area of rest for the eyes, right? And then you have areas of high detail, which is her face. And then you have areas of, you know, and her boots could be that too. And you have areas of like smaller kind of medium detail, which could be like the axe, her arms, things like that. And I really think that design is really just finding that balance between large shapes, medium shapes, and small shapes. And that's basically it. Just arranging those in a certain way. Because think about it. If you had a design where it's all just a bunch of little tiny circles, right? Think about it. It's kind of boring, right? But if you have little circles and then a couple like medium circles in there, ooh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then you have like one giant circle and then a bunch of little circles around it and then some medium circles. Immediately it takes on just this, there's this balance there and it just looks good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Design 101. That's all you need to know about design. Big, medium, small, and balance them. Balance them. So try it out. Try it out yourself. And yeah, I wish you luck with that. And I want to thank you guys once again for joining me live on Ustream for another Thoughtful Thursday. I had a good time today. I hope you guys did too. Thank you once again for letting me flap my guns and talk to you about journals. Law of increasing returns. I'm telling you guys, go out there. That's the most important thing that I need to tell you today. It's the law of increasing returns. Go out there, work with passion. Do more than you get paid for. Do more than is asked of you. Go the extra mile. And you will not only get noticed by the people that you do work for, but you will feel so good about yourself because you will be working from a drive that is from within. It's no longer for that little, the bone at the end, you know, the little check. You know, you're no longer working for that. Now you're working because you want to, because you are fueled from within. And as you do that, you can only rise to greatness. Okay, guys? So I hope that you have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. You guys take care of yourself. Until next time, you guys have a good one.